Is there anything else you'd like to discuss, or can we begin? Are you sheep chasers? Are you chasing sheep? You see, I think you're caught up in chasing sheep. Oh, you don't want to be, but you think that's the only way you can get them in the pen. And it's not. You grab a little food, you whistle at the sheep, and you walk towards the pen. And you know if there's a sheep that doesn't want to go in the pen, you shoot the sheep.
You're not chasing them.
I ain't chasing you. You either go in the pen or it's lamb chops, man. It is. You are served for dinner. I want you to know something. We are not going to win if we chase sheep. We can't win if we're chasing sheep. You'll just be chasing them and chasing them. You won't get one of them back in the pen. You got to get in front of the sheep, not behind the sheep. Most of you are trying to get the sheep going that direction. You say, sheep, let's go. And you go pushing up. And one gets out of line, you go, whack, get back in line. Push and push and push. Whack. And we're trying to get them all going this direction. And we can't. You got to get out in front of the sheep. And as you do, leadership takes over. And when leadership takes over, people will follow. Sheep follow leaders. Sheep follow leaders. The leadership of Percepta has decided that this is what we're going to do. Is that pretty plain? Now you can either decide that you're going to do it or you're not, but the train is leaving the station and you better get on the train. And if you do, it's going to be a great ride. But if you don't, I think you're going to have a real disappointment here. Okay? So I'm not sharing with this with you to tell you that I think this is optional. Because if you think this is optional, listen very carefully. It is not. Now, if you stay on the path, you don't have to get out in the forest, and guess what happens? You get to grandmother's house very nicely. But if you want to go out in the forest, go ahead. But then don't be surprised when you get eaten. Okay? And you have reps that are the big bad wolf that will eat you. By the way, just so you know, I think we've taken casual environments to a new low in the workplace. I don't know about you, but I got to tell you something. The winds of change. We're going to talk about that. I want you to stay right with me. I want you to stay on the path. I don't want you to deviate, because when you start to deviate, everything morphs. When thing morphs, then it looks like nothing that we started with. Okay? I've got to get everybody doing certain things certain ways. Let me point to you an area called control. Earlier I asked you what kind of an environment, a culture have you created? And it's what I call a compliance culture. It's where we brought people into compliance. Now, in the evolution of a call center, I will tell you this, that you almost have to have a compliance culture to begin with. Without it, anarchy reigns. Without it, anarchy reigns. See, there are certain people who believe, well, it's only me. I mean, how bad can it affect? Well, yeah, but if everybody did that, we'd be in a world of hurt. If everybody was late coming to work, there'd be nobody here to answer the phone. If everybody took off when they wanted to, there'd be nobody here. It puts the business in jeopardy. You've got to operate within a certain rule and regulation. I got to tell you, there are rules that are absolutely imperative that must be followed. And we've got to understand this. And we've got to hold people accountable to it. In fact, how fast will you go back to folding your arms the way you're used to, because that's the way you like it? Remember, our arms get folded right back so quick it's not even funny. You've got to follow up, and it's got to be immediate. So here's how the drill works. We train them. And in some instances, we give them words to use. And we put them in a very tight container. And we don't allow them to get out of there until what? Until they can demonstrate the fact that they can do it. Does that make sense? Guess what I'm about to do for you? I'm about to put you in a very tight container. From a coaching perspective, I'm going to put you in a very tight container. I'm going to tell you exactly what I want you to do. I'm going to give you the words and phrases I want you to use, and I'm going to hold you accountable to doing so until you can demonstrate competency in doing so. Does that make sense? I have yet to find a successful leader who can just do whatever the heck they want to do. I have yet to find one. And the thought occurred to me, why is it that the higher you go up, the more compliant and the more amenable people become? Have you ever noticed this? You are far more amenable than your people are. They look at their job as the keepers to the keys of the kingdom, and you ain't getting through. Now you know what I do? I start with a top-down. And by taking a top-down approach, results go up quicker, they go up faster, and in some cases, we never have to train the front line. In fact, your front line won't even know that Eric and I exist hardly. But if you give us a pushback, if you give us issues, if you resist, it's going to make it that much more difficult. Have you sensed the winds of change are blowing at Percepta? If they're not, shake your head like this, because they are. The winds of change are changing at Percepta. And I believe they're going to change for the really good. Some of you in here may not want to play. And if you don't want to play, I'm going to share with you something. The train is leaving the station. It is leaving. Get on and you can go with it. Decide you're not going to get on, but the train is leaving the station. Say it with me. The train is leaving the station. The only choice you got to make is get on the train or get left. Make sense? Shake your heads like this. Okay, I want to be sure you understand this, okay? Because the train is leaving the station. It is not optional. Okay? And what we're going to go through is not optional. If you want Puppy to be trained, you bring Puppy home and you say, Puppy, this is my house. Puppy, this is your house. And we have a little bitty house for a Puppy, like a square little kennel. Do I take Puppy to different spots all over the yard if I want Puppy to go over here? What must I do every hour on the hour? Take Puppy out and take him to that spot. And if I do that repetitiously on a day in and day out basis, what will Puppy do? Automatically. Go there. That's right. Now that's exactly the same way it is with people. If we are repetitious with people, repetition is the mother of learning. Would you agree with me? The more repetitious you are, the more people learn. Now I don't want to say that people training and animal training are the same. But they are. You see, if you want people to get trained fast, there's two things you got to do. Define their space and do something very consistently with them. That's how they get trained. In fact, that's the main purpose of it, to ensure that the people are doing the things that we need them to do accurately. How to deal with resistance. If you're one that's gone around going, yeah, I wish the system was different, I wish we had to do that, I know you never say that, right? Now she knows you'll probably get slapped for it, so she wouldn't say it, but that's what she's thinking, right? Betty, that is aberrant behavior. That is bad behavior. I don't want you doing that anymore. And if you do it, here's what will happen. It was hard for me when I was in my 20s and my 30s and I was arrogant and I was at a point in time in my life where I thought I could do anything I wanted to do, and people should not judge me by this and they should not judge me by that, and they should not judge me by the way I'm dressed, and they should not call into question certain things. And I got to tell you, that is a very immature response, because people do judge you by the way you're dressed, whether you like it or not. They do judge you by the way you part your hair, whether you like it or not. It is not something that we can go legislate to people. It's not something we can say, don't judge me on that. They will do it anyway. And you know what? Well, they should. Because judgment has to come into play when I make a determination as whether I'm going to follow a leader or not. You don't get to be leader because the leader, fairy, comes along and dubs you one. But basically, let's not worry about whether we're going to get some resistance, because you know what? You are. There's going to be resistance. Remember, when we take people who have been basically let free, they're pretty much free right now, and we take them and we say, okay, we're going to define your space, and we're going to do something very consistently with you, kind of like Puppy. Puppy, this is my home. Puppy, this is your home. CSR, this is the call center. CSR, but this is where you operate. And this is what we're going to do. There's going to be some constriction felt. But you know what's interesting about Puppy? Puppy feels more comfortable in their home. In fact, what most people don't realize is that with puppies, they feel out of control when they've got such a big space. When they're in their little defined space, they're much more homey. It is much more enticing to them. If we don't put words and phrases in their mouths to say, they're left unto themselves. And when they're left unto themselves, they will say the wrong things. Does that make sense? And what did your head just do when I said that? It went just like this. Didn't it? Yes, it did. And you can't stop me, can you? No, you can't. And I can keep asking questions all day long, can't I? And you'll still keep doing this. If I'm asking you questions, where is the conversation going to go? In the direction that I want it to go. You see, there's a part of our brain that causes our programming to turn off. We actually turn off listening. We want to listen, but we're not able to because of the things that are in our head. Because what matters is not what you do, it's the perception of what it is that you do. Does that make sense? Just listen to these words. I did not say he beats his wife. I choose my words very carefully. The words are, I did not say he beats his wife. Hello?
I did not say he beats his wife.
Kicks her, jabs her, doesn't beat her.
I did not say he beats his wife.
Don't take your wife over to him. Pay attention to the words. I did not say he beats his wife. I wanted to know who she was, where she was, what her name was, how to reach her, and how to slap her silly. So you can't run, you can't hide. And if you see the lines that are forming on my brow, I'm going to run out there and I'm going to hit you with a stick. Her mouth dropped on the table. And we talked about it and I did it again. Her mouth dropped on the table. I did it again, dropped on the table. I did it the fourth time. I said, now, don't mess with me. If you do, you're dead. You're dead. It doesn't matter what you do. It does not matter what you do. It does not matter what you say. In Texas, we just pull up beside it, take our gun out, and shoot. And here I'm all concerned about this dead guy who ain't going anywhere, and the other 9 living ones are going, you know, why don't you just bury it, okay? I did not say he beats his wife. Beats his children, beats his dog, beats everybody else. And here's my view on children, okay? And I know some people don't subscribe to this. I happen to. I believe that spanking should be a memorable experience. And I do it that way, okay? I spank and I make it a memorable experience. Don't you love parents? If you do this, I'm going to smack you. 1, 2, 2.5, 3. I'm telling you, if you do it again, I'm real serious this time. I know I'm really, really serious. Oh, come on. I want to just go smack the kid. By the way, I have a 20-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and an 18-month-old. Yes, performance. See, I live out what I teach. I needed more slave children. No, I'm only kidding. Anyway, that's what I call them, my slave children. My father is a full-bird colonel in the Air Force, and I was raised in an environment where if he said it was black and it was white, guess what it was? It was black. You know, if he said jump, you said how high. You said yes sir, no sir. If you didn't, your teeth were arranged on the back side of your face. You know, things of that nature, and very militaristic family. And I could never do anything pleasing. If we were learning how to paint, I didn't hold my paintbrush right. We had to paint on opposite sides of the house because I didn't do the right thing. I didn't do the right way.
Would it be okay if I gave you examples of what I'd suggest you could do differently?
No. 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 Bad girl. Well, guess what? There's a new sheriff in town. There's a new sheriff in town. The train is leaving the station. What part of get on the train do you not understand? Get on, stay behind. I'm giving you your choice right now. Get on. All you got to do is step. That's it. If you refuse to step, guess what? It's over. Done.